Wake up, wake up. It is Friday, March the 28th. We got a lot of Niner news to talk about. Let's go right now. Damon and Larry on a Friday. Wake up.
Yeah, welcome. It's great to have you back here. Like and subscribe to both channels over on the Krug Show, over on the Plus. It's great to have you here. And let me just tell you, spring break sneaks up on you. It's next week, but it's also starting today. So, Larry, we're going to have to keep this one short. I got Jillian trying to hold down the fort with two absolutely feral children upstairs. And pray for her.
Are they beer bonging? Are they beer bonging? Are they on their way to Rosarita?
I'm just telling you, it's a little early in the day for the 5 and the 3-year-old to be beer bonging it right now, but it's going to happen in the next week. It will happen probably later in the day. You got to make
spring break has changed, man. It's not what it used to be.
Where's Daisy Fuentes? On a beach. Where's the MTV Spring Break Beach House? Remember how you used to watch that, thinking, someday, I hope to be cool enough to be there.
Do they even have those shows anymore? Because, man, MTV during spring break, man, they would descend on wherever, Panama City Beach. And it was just, you weren't getting the full dose of the debauchery, but you were getting a sampling.
You'd have Dr. Dre and Ed Lover from Yo MTV Raps there. You'd get a lot of Pauly Shore that week. The Wheeze. So, look, a lot of people don't even know what the hell we're talking about. We're so old, Larry. And Connor right here is saying, look, it's 3 a.m. in Australia. How big is this? Do I need to be up for this? So let's get right into it. Thank you for being here at 3 a.m. in Australia. Good day, Connor, or good evening, I guess we should say. And let's get right into the thumbnail start of this show, which is Brandon Aiyuk. And, don't believe every rumor that you hear. And Adam Schefter is saying that the trade for Brandon Aiyuk, which we have been talking about, which the Niners have, I think, been trying to manifest by just talking about it publicly, really doesn't have as much legs to it as you would think. And my very first reaction to that was, well, of course it doesn't. He is an overpaid, physically damaged wide receiver who doesn't have nearly the value that he used to have right before he got hurt. It's like when you buy a new car, the second you drive it off the lot, it is worth less. And Brandon Aiyuk, whose worth and value were debated before the deal, got the massive deal, was instantly worth less, then got hurt, and is now worth twice as less as he's ever been. I am not surprised to hear Adam Schefter say that a Brandon Aiyuk trade is probably much ado about nothing.
I went Schefter tweets so much, I figured I'll go to his Twitter and look up the tweet. I mean, when did he tweet this thing? It must have been, how many tweets does this guy do?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I don't know that I've seen the tweet.
So Kevin Kruger sent me a link to a RSF 49ers post, which aggregated it from Schefter, saying despite conflicting reports about teams reaching out, there hasn't been a significant trade interest in 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, according to Adam Schefter.
And it's not, none of this report is surprising, by the way. The one line though, at the very end, what we do get out of this is we get that his doctor is pleased with his progress, that they think he'll be ready to play by mid-season. So we'll see. So that's the first timeline we've gotten on Aiyuk. But this is the line that I've emphasized. And once again, Schefter throws in here at the end. He says, you know what? There's conflicting reports, blah, blah, blah. The combination of the contract and the injury has made the teams hesitant. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I would be hesitant too. But then he says at the end here, I would think I think he's ready by midseason to play by midseason. And there might be a team out there that is willing to basically not give up very much to get a great player who's coming off the injury. That is basically been my point. And the question that we don't have answered, and that even though Schefter seemingly has given us a little bit more on this. We don't have the ultimate answer. The ultimate answer is, what are the 49ers willing to take a beneath market value trade to take this player? The funny thing is, Dieter and I got into this yesterday, and Dieter is of the mindset that this is an NBA situation where Aiyuk is a distressed asset, and that, the same way, if you're going to take a distressed contract in the NBA, you're going to have to throw that team's second round picks and assets to get them to take that asset. He's suggesting that the 49ers wouldn't be getting anything in return, that they'd actually have to give something in return to move Aiyuk. I don't think they would be willing to do that. And this is not, I have no sources. I'm just guessing. My guess is the 49ers are not willing to include draft pick compensation, attach it to Aiyuk just to get off the money. But I do think they are desperate, Damon, to get off this money. And this last line here, there might be a team willing to basically not give up very much to get a great player who's coming off of an injury, is exactly what I have said for several weeks, and I'm tired of repeating. And also,
look, on Monday,
I could be totally wrong.
No,
but his assessment is just mine as well, which is, if Aiyuk's going anywhere, it's going to be because the Niners really, really want that cash, really want to get off this contract, and are really willing to take a pittance for a player who is going to be gone, who's not going to play till midseason. Right. I still believe, Damon, that is going to happen. I really do. If you said wager one way or the other, I will wager that somehow between now and April 1st, which is whatever, a couple days away, that the 49ers will drop their ask for Aiyuk, work out some combination of day 3 pick or picks and some player that the other team doesn't want, and they'll make the swap. That's my guess. It's just a guess.
I don't think you're wrong. I think that there is a chance that could still very much happen. And a lot of people say, well, if this player is worth what you thought he was worth and you paid him that, why would you get no assets back for him? Well, the asset that you would get back for Brandon Aiyuk is you are now out of his contract. It's one of those, you're not going to love this trade, 49ers fans, because it's going to help the ledger and the math more than it's going to help the team. But remember, just Monday, you and I were talking about, and Seabass brings it up here, not surprising, aren't we getting a player in 3 6th-round picks? I mean, that was the story on Monday, that the Cleveland Browns were going to come with some ridiculous
they have 4.
Right, but the Cleveland Browns were going to come with some ridiculous amount of late picks that would make the 49ers do this deal. And again, it felt
that's my point. My point is that they have 4 6th-round picks. All I'm saying is exactly what Schefter said, which is there may be a team, and that team might be Cleveland, that has day 3 assets, a lot of them, and are willing to part with some of them, or 1 or 2 of them, 1 or 2 6th-round picks. They have 4. Would they be willing to trade 1 or 2 6th-round picks and some player they don't really want that much, for that maybe the Niners do want, for Aiyuk? That's what I envision. I never envisioned any kind of, I've heard people say, well, I've seen people, Browns fans, on Twitter, hey, give him Denzel Ward in a 5th. Hey, give him Greg Newsome in a 6th. Give him this, give him that. So I've seen the Browns fans, they want Aiyuk in Cleveland as for whatever reason. I do understand the whole thing, as far as I understand why Niner fans would be frustrated, because, dude, he's a really good player who suffered a serious injury. And, now we're talking about getting off of the player at a loss. So I understand why the fans are like, no, man, he's great. But the fans remember him being great. But if this injury, I would say there's some risk with this injury. He may not be great. And maybe the Niners feel that strongly, that he's not going to be great. It could be personal. It could be tied to his injury. It could be just that they don't like that contract. But you got to remember this. These two sides signed a deal. It was very contentious. After they signed the deal, they still had contentious moments.
Right. It was still contentious.
So that makes me think that
you should be Jimmy Butler smiling ear to ear. You got paid. I'm all done being a problem type of guy. And 2 practices into his new deal, he's arguing about the color of his shorts with Kyle Shanahan on the practice field.
Yeah. So we'll see. Everybody's got to believe what they're going to believe. Dieter's belief is that they're not going to trade him, but if they do, they're going to have to attach assets to get him moved. I'm of the belief that that's not the case, that they could probably get some low-level third-day pick and maybe some player. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is I still believe they're very motivated to move the player. And
here's the
even
thing,
though they're not going to say it, they're not going to devalue him, Damon. But I think they really want to move the player. I think they're going to find a way to do it.
If I'm the 49ers and I'm willing to do this deal, the team that you're willing to do this deal with obviously has its parameters going for it too, right? And it is not urgent. If you're the team that is trading for Brandon Aiyuk, you're not in win right now mode. You're in win later mode. So if the Niners did have to attach an asset to get the deal done, a future pick, a future 5th rounder attached to Brandon Aiyuk makes more sense than anything that would come out of your draft capital this year. Because as we've talked about for over 3 months now, the 49ers need as much draft capital this April as they've ever had.
Yeah. And we'll see, it is, let's just say this. It's not a move I would make if I were an opposing team. You know what I mean? So how could I be so convinced that, this is going to happen? I just think it's going to happen because I think the Niners want it to happen. And I think the Niners are motivated to make it happen. And even though their fans, I think, are going to be, as you said, going to be going to say something like, "What? We got what for Brandon Aiyuk?" And they'll look at it as a real loss. But if Kawakami's reporting on this is accurate, and I've got no reason to believe it isn't, he says that if the Niners get out of the Aiyuk contract, they could wind up saving Jed in the neighborhood, ballpark, Damon, of $110 million. That is such a significant amount of money that I really kind of believe that the Niners are going to take nothing in return to get that. And if you do seek nothing in return, that's the question. If the price tag for Aiyuk was literally nothing, okay, let's just cut the difference between Dieter's take and my take. My take is they're going to get a little something. Dieter's take is they're going to have to give a little something. Let's just say we're both wrong, and the Browns are the team that wants Aiyuk, but they come to the Niners and they say, "We want Aiyuk, Damon. We'll let you be John Lynch. We want Aiyuk, John Lynch, but we're good, and we'll take that money off your plate, but we want him for free. We don't want to trade anything. We want the player, but we don't want to give you anything." Will see that this is like a compromise off the Dieter idea of, well, right, you owe us a 3rd round pick or you owe us a 5th round pick for us taking Aiyuk. I don't think he's that distressed of an asset. I still think they could get something, but if it was, would you take nothing in return for Aiyuk? And all right, push came to shove. Do you think the Niners, not you, Damon, do you think the Niners would do it? Because I think
I'm John Lynch. I'm John Lynch now. I'm no longer Damon Bruce. So okay, I'm trying to think, what are my marching orders? What has Jed told me to do? Just based on all the evidence of every transaction that we've seen this offseason, there is a mandate for this offseason to be better for the books than it is for the team, for the winning percentage, or the fan base, right? This is all about getting cash straight. That seems to be the goal. So if we're playing that game, let's play it to its completion. And that means Brandon Aiyuk goes. Right? I mean, if this is going to be the take your medicine, you ain't going to like it off season, do it. Do it. Absolutely, they should do it. If you're telling me the financial reset that they're selling us is going to be a key to future success, and I don't even know if I believe that, I really don't. But if they're saying that getting right now financially is guaranteeing big free agents, big players, big contracts for all the players that you're going to need going forward, then yeah, absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. This is not bottoming out the way that we say, like, oh, the Houston Astros, they need to bottom out, they need to reload, and then they're coming back and they're in all these World Series. But this feels like the 49ers are trying to do the equivalent of financially resetting, bottoming out, and then keeping as much of the team around while you're doing that, but saying goodbye to a significant portion of it as well. And they're trying to thread the needle of very financial, responsibly financial choices and still trying to win the NFC West. It's going to be hard to do both.
And yet they're favored.
and yet they are favored.
And yet they're favored.
Which, by the way, you'd think that would be like a little bit of a testament to what the world thinks of Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, right? There's an awful lot of faith being those two guys are going to figure it out if they're still this team favored to win this division with all of the movement we've seen around this roster. And remember that also, any bet in Vegas is not a prediction of what's going to happen. It's, they're just trying to come and get your money. They're trying to make you want to bet on that. But look, here's the thing. If this is it's going to hurt off season, do it. Freaking do it. If you're going to go all in on the pain, no pleasure, trade Brandon Aiyuk and even include a future if getting out. What means more to the 49ers future? The 5th round pick in next year's draft, they might have to include, or the $100 million that you say Jed could be saved if they were able to make the transaction, which is worth more to them?
Well, I mean, to me, it's very obvious. I mean, they're on the verge of signing their quarterback to a big money deal that almost guaranteed is going to include between $100 and $150 million of guaranteed money that's going to have to go out the door immediately. So I think the Niners are absolutely in the business of recouping. I don't think it's going to be an attractive thing. Jacob Gordon, I think, is the right guess here. He says, we'll do a pick swap to get off the contract. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Some kind of a pick swap. Hey, the 49ers, by the way, though, not necessarily in the first round, but maybe in other rounds.
But did you see the Patriots just gave a 31-year-old, totally destroyed his own sort of team guy reputation, torn ACL, 31-year-old Stephon Diggs. He just got $26 million guaranteed from New England. I mean,
they got a lot of money. They got a lot of cap room.
They do. But I mean, I know one guy's a quarterback. Another, if Stephon Diggs is worth $26 million of guaranteed money, Brock Purdy's about to get paid, kids. I mean, come on. Like, everyone should just start mentally preparing themselves. Now, I got no problem at all with Brock Purdy signing for a number that starts with a 5 and ends with any other digit. And everyone else should be about that mindset too. It's when that number starts with a 6 that people are going to start getting real panicky, Larry.
Well, we'll see. Jordan Schultz said that the Purdy deal is going to come in between 50 and 55. And yet, there's a lot of people that are, still rooting for the Niners to hold steady at 30 million. And, don't pay him a penny over 30 million.
30 million's never been on the table. They opened with 45. So come on.
No, I know, but I mean, there are Niner people out, content people and media people that are still kind of dreaming this dream of some 11th hour escape from Brock Purdy. And it's
how uninformed and detached from how business works in football are you, if that's what you actually think?
Well, and also you're rooting openly for the 49ers to get off of their mobile young quarterback that everybody likes for an old immobile quarterback that nobody likes in Aaron Rodgers, who behind this line might last 4 series. I mean, if Brock Purdy's running for his life last year, and he was, what do you think old Aaron Rodgers would look like behind this line? I mean, he would literally last, he wouldn't get through an entire month of football. I mean, he would be out for the year within a month. And then you're looking at backup quarterbacks, Mac Jones and Tanner Mordecai, who I don't think are terrible, but you see what I'm saying. So this idea that they're going to move off of Brock, they're not. I think what we know now, Brock is definitely their guy. He's going to get a contract from them. And I think this Jordan Schultz report where it says that, that the deal's not done, they're working towards a conclusion by the time the season kicks off, and that he expects the AAV to be between 50 and 55. To me, I look at that as a deal for the Niners, Damon. The quarterback market, the top guy out there is Prescott. He's making 60. The way this thing has gone, it's like the guy who signs most recently always gets, it seems like, exorbitant money beyond the market. If he does, as long as this is not a new precedent setting contract, and if it's under, between 50 and 55, it would not be. I think 50 and 55 is the sweet spot. I think that's the number, Damon, that the Niners can still build a good team around him, but he's still getting taken care of.
Yeah.
His agent can be like, hey, I did my job. I took care of my client. He's got lifetime, he's got, life-altering money and security. But he didn't take the most. He left some meat on the bone for the Niners to go out and build this team around him. I think that's the number. And I said this a few times, but the highest number is kind of the booby prize for Brock Purdy. Because last year kind of proved, Damon, that Brock Purdy can't do it all by himself. And really this last season, I think in some ways was the perfect football season to prove this point. Even if you're a great quarterback playing well, and I'm not saying Brock is, but even if you are a great quarterback playing well, you need more than just you. We saw Mahomes, who undoubtedly is the better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, lose badly on Super Bowl Sunday to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Why? Because football is more than just who's got the best quarterback. It's about your O-line, your D-line, your run game, and all these other 50 guys.
When your individual spectacular talent shows up to play a very well-built, well-coached, total football team, now you got now you got a gunfight. Now we got a fair game. So, have that, have the team that is well constructed, or have the supernova individual. There's two kind of ways to go about it, but historically you want the full team. You just don't want that supernova at one position.
The dream in football is the quarterback, but right. Like you're a Cub fan, the dream in baseball is pitching. And there was a time when you guys had Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor, and there were people in baseball who are like, the Cubs are going to win the World Series. Yeah, Wood and Pryor, Wood and Pryor. Wood and Pryor. Remember that? And it was like, but wait a second, guys, there's more to baseball than just the starter. And there's more to football than just the quarterback. But I think what we're seeing here is that I think when you're hearing that number, and if it's accurate, I don't know, who knows if it's accurate. We'll just take Jordan Schultz reporting at face value and say it's accurate. I think that's a good number. I really do. I think it's a realistic number, Damon, because I think it's a number that acknowledges that there is a market, right? It's not like the 30 million is like, I'm not acknowledging that any of this is reality. I'm right. Making my own reality. Right. Great. No, you're not. There's a market, and the market conditions are applicable to everybody in the market.
You're the person who sets their Madden to accept all trades. Computer can't veto trades. That's right. Who you are.
Right. But so this is 50 to 55, in my opinion, is an acknowledgement by the 49ers that regardless of their feelings, there is a market. And Brock's contract has to somehow fit and relate to this market somehow, some way, and have it make sense.
I wouldn't be worried about 50 to 55 at all if I'm Brock. I'm just worried about the big pile of guaranteed money at the end of the sentence. That's it. That's all I care about. Your annual
what do you want it to
value.
Be?
Oh, I'd say you give Brock $120, $150 million guaranteed and expect to spread that out over, 4 years.
Yeah. These are for people that are way smarter than me as far as figuring out exactly what guarantee and how it all piecemeals together. But there's clearly a deal to be had here. I think the fact that they're working towards a conclusion kind of says that they either have some kind of an agreement, Damon, that the Niners are not going to walk away from the negotiation and say, you're playing at 5.2, screw you. And that Brock is not going to, in the 11th hour, say, I'm holding out, I'm not coming in, that's it. So
what are you going to hold out your 2 franchise years too? Come on. I mean, that's just not happened. Brock has really very little leverage in any of this. But I agree with you. I don't think the 49ers play the super hardball that that you're saying is on the table. We've been saying they don't have the balls to do that. Here's the deal. You want to talk about much smarter than us. Let's talk about who's much smarter than us. And it's the people who are putting together salary caps and who work for the NFL and their financial departments. And they see what's happening across the sport. And we are no more than 4 years away from a $70 million a year quarterback, unless Jalen McDaniels. I'm getting Jaden Daniels. There's no Mick.
There's no McDaniels.
That's what's screwing me up there. Drop the Mick. Stop going to McDonald's. Go to Burger King. Jaden Daniels, unless he suffers some sort of terrible injury, is going to be the first guy who's seriously going to be talked about at a $70 million a year price point.
It won't be Brock McPurdy. Who gets it?
Jalen McBrocky. No way.
Yeah. No, but they'll get it done. They'll get this thing done.
What they're going to do is make sure that the cap grows to where that number, the $65 to $70 million a year quarterback number, still doesn't even represent 26% of the salary cap. They're going to grow the cap in a way, and that's where that's where all contracts, that's the sweet spot you're looking for your quarterback to get. Not more than 25% of the team salary cap. That's your sweet spot. You'd like it to be around 22, 23. That's where you want it.
20.
They're going to grow the cap appropriately to fit these growing quarterback contracts into them. They will not disrupt football normalcy in the name of now quarterbacks are a billionaire class while everybody in football is a millionaire class. The league will grow its pie.
I mean, it's funny. You said Purdy has no leverage, but in reality, do the Niners have a ton of leverage either? Because who's their quarterback? And you need to have a quarterback. And it's not if Brock, by the way, somehow was mad. Let's just say they negotiated in bad faith. Let's say Parag said, you take our deal by 5:00 on Friday or we're yanking it. Right. It was a bad faith negotiation. And Brock said, screw these guys, screw the Niners. They negotiated in poor faith and we want out and we're not signing. And that's it. Goodbye. Then what? Then, you know what I mean? So I do agree with you that the Niners do have ultimate leverage, but Brock does have some leverage too, in that, it's a supply and demand deal, and there's leverage is
you're going to need a starting quarterback week 1.
Yeah. That's his leverage. And if I'm so pissed that it won't be me, who are you going to? You got Mac Jones. You're going to unhappy Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's the thing. I guess the one bit of, what do you really have to fear out there, Brock? The answer is not much. You don't have anyone to fear in your own quarterback room at this time. But the addition of Aaron Rodgers, even in the state that Aaron Rodgers would show up in, that's still a threat. That's a threat to anyone at the position of quarterback. So if the Niners really wanted to pull all right, shake down the thunder like type of threat, it would be, we're calling Aaron Rodgers unless you agree to this, Brock.
And I would call that bluff, because Aaron Rodgers is beat up and old and can't move, and he would die behind this offensive line. But the thing with Brock, though, is Brock, I think, also has to fear a couple things here. One thing he's got to fear is his agent getting too good of a deal, because there's the public perception of the whole thing. And then there's also how good of a team. I mean, the booby prize is he makes the most money, but he has no line. He has no receivers. He has no support. He's got to be supported. So I hope his agent leaves enough meat on the bone. Take care of your client, but let the team take care of him as well by putting some talent around him. Don't take every penny. A victory is a number that enables you to have another contract, win a Super Bowl, and have success. negotiate a contract that you believe enables the 49ers and with your client as the central figure to accomplish all their goals. Because if they accomplish all their goals, that means Brock's going to accomplish all his goals. And that means that a second contract for Brock in a few years could be coming, and it could absolutely shatter in size and stature this agreement, especially if between now and then he won a Super Bowl and gets that 6th Lombardi. So it's a complicated thing, but at the same time, a win is not necessarily, if you're the agent, not necessarily the most money. It's got to be a number that works, So it really is incumbent on the agent and Parag to really work together on this, because for what I just said, they could pay him the most and it could be bad. They could pay him the least and it could be bad. They've got to find the number that allows them to make him feel respected and taken care of, and gives them a chance to build a good enough team to win a championship.
Look, there's a compromise that serves the player, serves the team, serves the situation, and they're going to find it. And a lot of people are, we've talked about this a long time. The speed at which the 49ers do business is mind-numbingly dull. And I wish that they would get this done a little bit faster, but just because they are slow in getting this business done doesn't mean that there's any cold feet in this negotiation. A few things I saw on Twitter yesterday where you can tell that the 49ers got a little cold feet now on Brock. No. I don't think this is cold feet. This is just the way they do business. This is standard operating business for the Niners. I'd like them to find a new standard of doing business a little faster, but this is the way that they act. So let's see what happens. I really think at the end of the day, it's going to be Brock Purdy for a number that, again, no matter what the number is, half the internet's going to be screaming. So who cares?
Well, and then there's this crowd. Dennis says, if Shador drops to 11, take Shador. Now, this is Grant's been pushing this one, and I like Grant, and I don't want to get into some World War III over this. But I just don't see the 49ers taking Shador. I don't know if he's going to drop to 11. I would suggest he would not, because
I don't think he's dropping to 11.
Quarterbacks are so valuable.
I don't think he's dropping to 11. But at that point in time, if that did happen, the buck stops with you, Kyle. Kyle, what do you think? Kyle, would you rather us draft Shador Sanders and hit the reset button on the position of quarterback, and you walk away from Brock Purdy, you never even see him again?
You got a quarterback on a rookie deal again, and here we go again, kind of a thing.
Do you want that, Kyle? If Kyle were to seriously look at that situation and say, do it, fucking do it.
You would defer to Kyle on this one if he says, get rid of Brock, go with Shador, and reset with the rookie. I'm not going to yell and scream about it, because he
knows more about it than I. I mean, at that point, I'd have to concede that he knows more about the situation than I do. If you're willing to make this deal at this time with this much development already baked into Purdy, you're either unhappy with his development, you still have doubts about where his ceiling is, you enjoyed his floor, but you're worried about his ceiling, and you look at Shador Sanders and you see a compromisingly similar floor to play right now with, but a ceiling that so exceeds where Brock's could go. If Kyle Shanahan were to evaluate this guy as, I can win more than that guy, then yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, see, this is where you and I would part, because I really like Kyle Shanahan, but I won't give him a blank check with no questions. Like everybody, because Damon, think about what you just said. Kyle Shanahan.
QB is one thing that I trust him with.
You're saying Kyle Shanahan knows more football than we do. Well, that's going to be the case today and tomorrow, and it was the case last year, but it didn't stop the 49ers from trading up for a collection of the worst offensive weapons anybody's ever seen. And you got to think Kyle authorized almost every single one of those trade ups. So isn't it possible, Damon, that it's like, let me see, I'm trying to draw a radio comparison.
Well, hold on, Larry. Let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question before you even ask it. Results aren't guaranteed.
I mean, it's a different skill set. I would just say it's a different skill set.
Guaranteed. Results aren't guaranteed. All you can do is make the best available choice you've got that day. Coach it up. Hope it works out. But results are not guaranteed with any of these decisions.
Okay, but let me just throw a comparison here. Okay, just indulge me for 30 seconds.
Okay.
One of the smartest. We've been in radio for decades. One of the smartest engineers either of us have ever come across is the great Lee Jones.
The best.
Everybody calls him Lee J. The very, very best. Just really, really, really good. The creme de la creme. He's the standard bearer for all engineers.
He did. I do love Tim. I did local radio. He was network quality. He could have worked for NBC. He could have worked on the Tonight Show. He was that good.
I will shout out my buddy Tim Jordan from 95.7 though, because Tim Jordan is right there with him.
I love Tim Jordan. And if we're shouting out engineers, can I get a Mike Kirpichka? Mike Kirpichka was very, very good.
I don't know him.
And Tanika, when she was engineering our pregame show from the parking lot at Candlestick, Tanika was freaking fantastic as an on-site engineer.
Well, we love Tanika. Tanika's a great friend. But I would say that Lee J is like the dean of these engineers, and there's a lot to know. I mean, the engineers get paid a lot, and we don't put our interns and say, oh, you just figure it out. No. The engineer is the smartest guy in the room, and they know things that we don't even know.
Has no chance to be named the next engineer.
Neither do either of us. You know what I mean? Like it's a skill set that we don't have, right? Okay, but even though it would be like, Agnew, the old program director, saying, you know what, I'm going to let Lee Jones pick my lineup. Why? Because Lee's a smart engineer and he knows more about radio than I do. Okay. But there's a big difference between the skill sets of picking lineups like a program director would and being an engineer and getting everything on the air. They're just different skill sets. And I kind of see that there's different skill sets between being a great offensive coach and being able to devise all kinds of great plays and sequence them and this and that, know when to call them against what defenses, as opposed to somebody who's really great at personnel. And it's just, they're two totally different things. So,
I don't know. I just would say Kyle's really great at personnel, but I'm saying quarterback is the one thing that here's the if Kyle
took Trey Lance, Damon, they took Trey Lance when they had their moment in the sun. They took a guy who right now can't get one of 100 jobs.
I know.
There's 100 plus jobs and he can't get one. And he's not old and he's not hurt. So I don't know if I would defer to Shanahan anymore on personnel.
Bill Walsh loved Jim Druckenmiller.
Right.
Okay. Some of these guys.
Gio Carmazzi.
Right. Great ones get it wrong. There is no results are not guaranteed. You take your best hunch, your best shot, your best educated guess. There are times it'll work out and it's Joe Montana. There are other times it is Trey Lance, and that's not good.
Well, forget Shador for a second individually, because Shador is just, happened to be, he might as well be called, rookie/rookie. Because that's really what people see with Shador, right? It's not that they love Shador. No, it's not about Shador. It's about he's a rookie in the reset. So I understand what he represents. Forget Shador for a second. Just say any rookie. Would you rather pay Brock Purdy or figure out a rookie to go with and have all that money to spread around on the rest of your roster? If you have doubts about Brock Purdy, I would imagine you would choose the rookie quarterback, all that extra money to go buy, this guy, that guy, and all kinds of different guys. Of course, free agency is gone, so that avenue's kind of closed for this year. But you know what I'm saying? Would you rather, should the Niners, because I'm sure there's people watching or listening right now that do have doubts about Brock Purdy. Heck, I have doubts about Brock Purdy. I think probably you have doubts about Brock Purdy. I like him. I believe in him, but I have doubts. He's not a perfect player. He's not coming off a perfect season. If I could hear the argument that, hey, man, the Niners need to get off of Brock, trade him for whatever you can get for him, and go get another rookie quarterback and reset this thing. Damon, that's an argument. And that's an argument that I think I'll listen to. And I'm willing to entertain that. I don't know that I like Shador. I like Cam Ward a whole lot more. And I do like some of these other quarterbacks we've talked about, Riley Leonard.
By the way,
like maybe the guy from Indiana.
Who are the Titans kidding? Just take Cam Ward.
Yeah, well, I think they probably will. But I mean, they're doing their due diligence and shopping the whole thing. But it sounds like you noticed, by the way, that Russell Wilson signed with the New York Giants.
I did.
Literally minutes after the completion of Cam Ward's pro day workout in Coral Gables. So, I mean, I think what happened there was the Titans attended the Cam workout and said, we're going to make a quick decision on this. We want him. Let's put our eyes on it and make sure. I think they put their eyes on it. I think they made sure because somebody called somebody because the New York Giants signed Russell Wilson literally minutes later. So I think I think the Giants were probably talking with the Titans. Hey, maybe we'll trade up for Cam. And I think the Titans slammed that door and said, we're going with Cam. And they said, okay, we'll go with Russell. Boom.
After they just signed Jameis Winston. By the way, you want to talk about a freaking buddy cop movie like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston? That WFAN hosts, their entire year is done. Like all they need to do is put their feet up and have the easiest conversation ever. Jameis Winston, who is going to be the single most popular QB2 in football based on his lovable personality and his degree of, let's just call it quarterbacking aptitude that makes him an adventure. He can throw for 500 yards. He can throw 2 pick sixes on consecutive passes. It's all on the table for him. He is an adventure. And then you got Russell Wilson, who at his best can be a very good quarterback, and at his worst feels like a guy who is false, smiling through a veneer of PR that is just not, I think, going to go well in New York. They're going to skewer Russell Wilson the very first chance they get because he comes across as a little goody two shoes and phony. That shit don't play in New York. So good luck to that. They're going to love Jameis. And then you got the people's champ and Tommy's Cutlets just in that room as well. So,
and you got Justin Fields with the Jets. And are the Jets going to also use a top 10 pick on Jackson Dart?
Oh my God.
I think the Jets may have Jackson Dart and Fields while the Giants have Winston and Russell. I will say this. I've met Russell Wilson and I've talked to him a couple times.
He's very impressive in person.
I don't understand all the negativity around Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a dude, man. He's a great guy. He's a terrific guy.
He's a very likable guy in person.
He's a decent human being too. I'll tell you, I'll give you my brief exchange. It was Thanksgiving when they ate turkey at the 50. Remember that?
Yo, do I remember it? I literally named the stadium after it.
It was so depressing of a loss that I'm like, screw this. I'm not going to go into the Niner locker room. I'll go into the Seahawk locker room and, see what I can get out of there. Right. I knew nobody was going to give me any good interview coming out. You lose on Thanksgiving to Seattle. No way you're going to get anybody talking. So I go into the Seattle locker room, which by the way, is like about 1/100th the size of the home locker room. The road locker room at Levi's is like a broom closet compared to the football field known as the home locker room. Anyway, I digress. I'm standing there next to Russell Wilson, and there's nobody around him. And we're standing at his locker. He's taking off his pads, and I'm like, "Hey, man!" And I told him who I was, and we talked for a minute. I go, "I'd love to talk to you." And he's like, he's taking off his pads. He's like, "See that guy right there?" And he points to the PR guy. As soon as you start talking to me, that guy's going to come running over and tell you that you can't, and because I'm going to speak at the podium in 15 minutes and this and that. And he's like, but here, man. I go, oh, no problem. No problem, man. Well, maybe another time. I get it. And he's like, hey, man, wait. And he like reached into his locker and handed me a card, and it was the card for his agent. And he's like, call this guy, and we can hook something up in the offseason. And so it's like Russell Wilson is a good dude.
He's a Boy Scout. Here's the thing: he's a Boy Scout. He's a good guy. But what kills Russell Wilson is when you see him do 15 takes of like Broncos country. Let's ride.
Yeah,
Broncos country.
You're saying he's not quite authentic.
Yeah, it's
lacks some authenticity.
The Mr. Unlimited. Like, oh my God, he literally thought of that and went and made a TikTok video, didn't he? Oh boy.
Well, but it is interesting he's a great example though, because Dave Softy Muller and I are friends. We talk all the time. And Dave maintains that, that the real thing what happened is as soon as Russell got paid, their roster was so depleted they couldn't win. If you do have a strong philosophy that you think that the better way to build a champion is with a quarterback on a rookie deal, I mean, it really challenges you to keep turning over your quarterback every 5 years or so. But I can understand the argument because we can see, I mean, the difference between paying your quarterback $1 million versus 50 million or 60 million. I mean, it's easy to be like, well, the Niners didn't get a Super Bowl when Brock Purdy was making $1 million. But now they're going to be able to win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy making 53 million or 55 million.
Starting quarterbacks it's the hardest job in sports. It's got the most responsibility attached to it in sports. And it's the biggest ask in sports to be a starting NFL quarterback. There's no more. It's, outside of starting game 7, starting pitcher of the World Series, there is no, goaltender, game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. There is no more. It is in your hands what is going to happen in this game tonight than starting quarterback. It's a big one. And yeah, if you can get elite production for a fraction of the price, I mean, that's how you get ahead in the entire business world at all times. So it's an incredible asset if you have it. And if you don't, you can see how clearly nothing operates without it.
And look how bad the Niners have been.
Purdy, though. That would be my position if I'm Brock Purdy's agent. Guy's already given at the office. He got you to a Super Bowl. You got to a Super Bowl around him and all that, however you want to admit how you got there, you got there with him.
Look how bad they've been without him.
And look at
when they took him out in the Philly game for Josh Johnson, it was game over. When you saw the Green Bay game with Brandon Allen, that was a nightmare. Those quarterbacks that can't move behind this line are just going to get crushed.
What are you just trying to hurt me here, Larry, with these comments that you're putting up? You're just trying to hurt me?
Jeff Walzer. I thought Kerry Wood was going to be the next Nolan Ryan. But I do understand the people saying, "Hey, get the quarterback on the rookie deal." But what I think people have to remember is that what Brock is and represents is not perfect, right? I mean, he's not the best quarterback in football, but he's a damn good quarterback. I don't know where he ranks, but yeah, to me, he's a top 10 NFL quarterback. And I think that's where I would settle. I mean, when he's going great, he looks like he's top 8, 9. When he's going bad, you could say, I know he's like 15, 16. But I really think, push comes to shove, he's a top 10 NFL quarterback.
Brock Purdy is the guy who you watch and you're like, he's pretty good. And then you go and you open up the box score and you're like, oh, he's better than I thought he was. And I thought he was pretty good. He's actually a little bit better than pretty good, isn't he? And that's it. He's a lot better than pretty good. He's graduated all the way to good. I think with the right environment around him, he can reach very good.
Ernberg, defending Brock equals defense of Jimmy. History repeats. No.
Hey, Jimmy went to a fucking Super Bowl and he's still in the league too. You know what I mean?
If once again, and I have to say this to Niner fans because unfortunately this is what comes up. If your total quarterback scope is only as broad as the Niner quarterbacks of recent history, it's not broad enough. It's not broad enough. Every time people compare Brock to Jimmy, it tells me that they have a limited, you just
got here. You just got here.
Yeah, there's other quarterbacks besides Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's like, and defending, they're totally different players. Jimmy Garoppolo is a totally flawed player. I mean, it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
If Jimmy had Brock Purdy's work ethic, he could have probably crafted the illusion a little longer that he was the right guy for the job. And let me tell you, it's unfair of me to even say illusion, because some of the best days of Kyle Shanahan's career came with Jimmy making decisions. Jimmy was very good for a little while. He really was. Give him credit, and then you uncork that one or two YOLO passes per game and it'd just be like, oh shit.
I don't know if he was
of him that doesn't do that? He was.
When was he very good? The first 5 games?
Good. Yes, those first 5 games,
okay.
Super Bowl year.
Before they paid him, he was good.
And then he gets hurt in Kansas City, and boy, did the 49ers look different after that. You know what I mean? So he almost looked better by subtraction.
Jimmy was a one read and go guy. If his first read wasn't there, pitter patter feet and nightmare results.
Hey, you know what? Ensued. When in doubt, be handsome. If you got the choice, you're a man right now and you can choose to wake up ugly or wake up handsome. You should always choose handsome. It's going to help.
There you go. So we got a couple other topics to get to today.
Yeah, and then like I said, I already hear some rumbling upstairs. I hear the pitter patter of the cherubs. So I got to get going here in a little bit. How about Chase Center getting the game of the tournament? That overtime Texas Tech winner over Arkansas. That was fantastic basketball last night.
There you go. Arkansas really gagged that away, man. They had a big lead, and by the way, get away. Texas Tech was the better team, though.
You know anyone who was there? What was the crowd like at Chase Center? Was that place even half full?
It was really empty. Well, this is what happens. I mean, there's no college basketball market here. Nobody likes college basketball here.
Then they got to stop putting these events out here. Stop getting the national championship game at Levi Stadium. Although that did sell out. But
that's a college football game, and it's during the holiday season. It's a little bit different, and for some reason, people will travel for that, right? But that gives people there's lots of time for that event, so you can play. It's in San Francisco, and what teams are going to be there, or you know where it's going to be, and if your team's going to be in it, where it's going to be. So you have a little bit more notice. This is like, did they have any West Coast teams? How about you throw in Arizona or UCLA or some West Coast, maybe St. Mary's or maybe Gonzaga, somebody. I mean,
St. Mary's wouldn't have drawn. I mean,
it was Florida, Texas Tech, Arkansas, and Maryland.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I like the Maryland team. I had them going to the Final Four. But yeah, I mean, I'll say this: I love the tourney, and I used to go. I went to when Joe Smith played for Maryland. I went when Bo Kimball and Hank Gathers. The year Hank Gathers died, and Bo Kimball at the tournament, they lost to Vegas.
Shot left-handed.
But I mean, I was at that regional or whatever. I remember seeing Donnell Marshall and Ray Allen and these guys when Calhoun's team rolled in years before. I do love the event, and to me, the best sporting event. If you want to say what's a great sporting event, the great sporting event is if you can buy the tickets. My brother did this up in Sacramento last year. The first round where you get 4 games.
Yeah. That's the best.
I mean, that is freaking cool. I mean, think about that for a second. You go buy a ticket, and it might be 2 tickets. It might be like the first game, the second game,
morning session, afternoon session.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's pretty cool, man. If you could go in March to like the first round of the tournament and go to a location and watch 4 different games, I think that's pretty cool. I've been to the Final Four, so Final Four Saturday is really cool when you get the 2 national semis back to back. I mean, that's amazing. If it was a smaller venue, it'd be a little bit better than the
Final Fours. To be at the Saturday of the Final Four is fantastic because you got all 4 fan bases in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's still got a shot to be a national champion. The energy is off the charts. It's great. Look, San Francisco is a great sports town as long as you're talking about San Francisco teams. In terms of just enough casual fans to bring in anybody, we just want to watch the game. This town sucks at it. The tournament should not come back to Chase Center. And the Super Bowl should not come back to Levi Stadium. It just shouldn't. The stadium blows and its location sucks. And San Francisco is not a real nightlife kind of town. I don't know. The NCAA tournament should not come back to Chase Center. If what I think was it's I could hear echoes. Were there 10,000 people at that game?
I mean, there was lots of empty seats.
I mean,
but it was probably, but there was a ton of empty seats for the NBA All-Star game.
Move down. Like, please move down. At some point, you got to have if there ain't here now, doesn't matter if that's their seat or not. You can move down because this is on fucking CBS and this is embarrassing. Like Kevin Harlan is working way too hard to have 1,500 people here. What a great call by Kevin Harlan last night too. He was fantastic.
Bottom line is, it's not a lot of passion for college sports. I mean, there isn't. I went to Cal San Diego State earlier this year, and it was a pretty good crowd. Cal Miami had a good crowd, but like Stanford doesn't draw anybody. I mean, Stanford's like Stanford.
No one. Stanford couldn't draw a crowd at the peak of the Jim Harbaugh freaking.
People said when they renovated Stanford Stadium, oh, it's too small now. And I'm like, what? No. Too small. Yeah, it used to hold 80,000 and now it holds 47. But let's count the number of times you pack this place, and they don't pack it ever. They get like 15,000.
Is that place only seats 47 now?
I think it went from 80 to like 47. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was 47.
I thought it was 60 something.
It might be 57. Maybe it's 57. But I could have swore it's and I've been in there a bunch of times. And it's nice. It's nice, but it's not.
Well, that's the thing. So Levi Stadium is like Stanford Stadium on steroids, but without the charming, like, you got to walk through the hill portion of the tunnel to get to your state. I
mean, Levi Stadium is a new stadium. As far as warehouse stacks to other new stadiums. Your problem with it is it's not in San Francisco and this and that. But
and its construction, its design, it's absolutely.
But look what the alternative was. The alternative was a Roach Stadium in Hunters Point in a bad area, hard to get to. I mean, I'll say this: that the idea that they had with Eddie D and Carmen about the mall that was going to be out there. I mean, that was going to be a train wreck project.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. Here's the thing:
a terrible idea. Stadium. This is a way better idea.
This is
I just got no problem with it because look at all these other football stadiums. Foxborough's not in downtown Boston. Foxborough's, Gillette Stadium's not in downtown Boston. It's in
but you look at it, you know exactly where you are with that bridge and that tower, and it's unique. It fits the area. Levi Stadium could literally be any Texas high school football stadium. Just pick it up and move it there. You wouldn't even have to repaint it. It's just the most poorly designed, unimaginative stadium I've ever seen, especially when you look at the new things coming out. What Seattle built, Seattle Stadium is 10 years older than Levi's, and it's a million times cooler still because it smells and looks like Seattle.
I mean, I like it. I like Levi's. I don't have a problem with it. You've been on a pilgrimage.
Stadium.
You've been on let's be completely honest about this. You've been on an anti-Levi's Stadium pilgrimage since the onset.
So it's not a take. It's a belief. It's a
pilgrimage.
And I'm telling you right now,
dying on this hill.
If at any point in time, sold out Levi's Stadium, you could say, all right, we've just invented a machine to where we can watch the rest of this game right here, 49ers, Cowboys, Levi's Stadium, or just by raising your hand. If the majority of people in this stadium raise their hand and this game takes place at Candlestick and you get zapped to Candlestick in a comparable seat that you're sitting in right now, everybody in that stadium's hand would go up. Everybody. No one would vote to stay at Levi's Stadium if the option was we could do this right now at Candlestick.
I would.
Everyone would go back.
I'd stay at Levi's.
Everyone would go back.
Everybody remembers with all this nostalgia Candlestick, but you don't remember it the way it was. I mean, I was there for the last day. You didn't see the raccoons running up the escalator.
I did. I know those raccoons. I interviewed them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying it's that Candlestick sucked. Candlestick was a terrible stadium in a terrible location. It housed all of our memories. But believe me, I mean, there was nothing romantic about Candlestick until
I'm telling you right now.
It has nothing to do with Candlestick. It has to do with
great as Chase Center is, as great of a job as they did with Chase Center. At any point in night, every Warrior fan, vote to go back to Oracle, yes or no. Everyone's going back to Oracle.
Well, I mean, Oracle was a different place. Oracle had a noise factor. And also there was Oracle was cool. Oracle was a cool place. I mean, I mean, first of all, Oracle was a renovated version of the Oakland Coliseum Arena, which I
Right.
can remember very distinctly forever. And that was my spot, man. I mean, I love the Coliseum Arena. And then Oracle was kind of the redo on it, which made it seem even smaller. It was more cavernous before when it was the Oakland Coliseum Arena, but it was something really cool about it as well. I can remember going to the Oakland Coliseum Arena watching high school ball because my St. Ignatius Wildcats played there. This is where the TOC was every year. The Tournament of Champions up here in Northern California was always at the Coliseum. And that was really cool because you'd have all these, a Final Four of high schools. So it's like our high school, their high school, we're all together. And that was kind of a cool thing. I have a lot of great memories. I don't mind, like, Candlestick for baseball, I miss more than Candlestick for football.
That's funny.
Because Candlestick for baseball, I just spent a lot of time out there. And, the one thing, we have different microclimates in the city. And the microclimate in the daytime at Candlestick Point was one of the sunniest spots in the entire city. It's shielded by all kinds of hills and everything. So you got beautiful sunshine. It was, I can't tell you the number of times, Damon, I left my house on Rivera and 35th Avenue in total fog, got to the park, beautiful, warm sunshine. So
the coolest thing about
great microclimate.
The coolest thing about Candlestick for a baseball game was when it was a, poorly attended baseball game. You'd go to that upper deck and you'd kind of just do a lap. And by the time you were in between the foul poles, you were alone out there and you could go smoke a joint watching a major league ball game, just walking around Candlestick smoking a joint. It was fucking awesome.
Well, people who were there before I was around, claim that it was beautiful when the center field was open, but it was also just an unbelievable wind, gale force winds.
Oh yeah,
blowing right in the face of the hitters, and it was a nightmare place to hit. So they had to enclose it. But then you had all this wind above the rim of the stadium, and any ball that went above the rim
was down,
subjected to all kinds of swirling winds, and it looked to be a nightmarish place for pop flies. I mean, only JT Snow looked good at catching pop flies at first base.
And they've always said, I talked about this with FP Santangelo. He would say that coming into Candlestick and then coming into Oakland, we're always tough on outfielders because there's something about the grayness of the Bay Area daytime sky that like blends into the baseball's white grayness more than he said. It was the top. FP told me, and I believe him. He's like, this was the hardest major league sky to play under in the Bay Area.
Well, it's a day-to-day thing, right? I definitely think that there have been days. There was a day I can remember and Barry Bonds, this is one of the things that made Barry Bonds the best, is that Barry Bonds was one of the best defensive outfielders of all time. There was a sun sky in a Giants Braves game, and I forget, it was at Oracle Park, and I can't remember exactly what year, but it was during the Bonds era, and 3 balls in one game fell on fly balls to left field. Fly ball left field fell. Fly ball left field, short left field, it fell. I mean, it was like 3 times in the end. You could tell it was a nightmarish high sky, really, really tough glare. And there was a high drive, big towering, majestic fly ball to left field. And Barry Bonds is out there, and you could see he's fighting this thing, and you can see, I mean, he's staring right into the sun. He's got the sunglasses down, and he made the play like a pro. But, it was that kind of a day where it was like, hellish. And I remember we all went into the clubhouse after the game, and Barry, of course, doesn't want to talk, and he's not talking. And, he chases everybody away.
Right.
So now they're, talking to Richie Aurelia. They're talking to Kent. They're scattering. And now, but I kind of knew Bonds
By the way, I wonder if Richie Aurelia would even have a media career if it weren't for the fact that he was the nice enough guy to deal with media that Bonds wouldn't. So he just got used to it.
Oh, he got good at it. But I remember I walked up to Barry and I said, that was a crazy high sky today, huh? And this is after the thing, everybody was shooed away. And he talked for like 3-4 minutes about, the different glares and the different times of the year. And he was talking about this particular month in the season and how the glare can be really brutal and that today was one of the worst he's ever seen and that he barely caught that last ball. And, and it was good stuff and it was good honesty and stuff, but it's like, it was an era where it was just hard to get anything out of Barry.
Yeah. By the way, it's a shame that Barry, because of the steroid scandal and everything, was never able to be the guest that is just totally welcome to come on in and be himself. Every single transaction Barry Bonds has in a conversation is a guarded transaction. He's always in a defensive posture. You never really get relaxed Barry Bonds. But I'll tell you, when he does, and he starts talking baseball, the art of hitting and playing, there is nothing more interesting. And I got to give a shout out to, I think it was Matt Barnes and was it Stephen A. Jackson who do the All the Smoke podcast. They had Bonds on. Yeah. They had Bonds on. And Bonds was comfortable and just sort of let it rip, man. Like the smile came out. It is such an interesting conversation. Like I could listen to Barry Bonds talk about hitting all day. All day long. I could listen to him just talk about hitting. And I guess that brings us to what needs to be our final topic, because I just got a text from Jillian saying soon. That means I got to go. But congratulations to Elio Ramos, who became the 19th different opening day left fielder for the Giants. They have still not replaced Barry Bonds. 19 different opening day left fielders. Ramos got the job yesterday in Cincinnati. Watched the game. And look, Larry, for the Giants to have any shot this year, they have to have all the adjectives that you would normally apply to a younger Caucasian point guard. They got to be scrappy. They got to be determined. They got to play with savvy. They got to all of the, that guy's out there trying so hard, you can't help but root for him. They're going to have all that going for them to have any type of a season. And it's a long year, but they look like they got that going for them right now, man. They were like, the Giants weren't half as bad as the team that I thought I was going to see on opening day yesterday. They're not bad. I don't think they're the Dodgers, but the team I watched yesterday wasn't a bad baseball team.
My prediction yesterday is that the Giants and the A's make the playoffs. I like the Giants and the A's to make the playoffs this year. The Giants situation is really interesting. I could not stand Farhan, but I really couldn't stand Kapler because Kapler was such a fake fraud. But as far as Farhan, he really did do some good things to the Giants farm system in the period of time that he was here. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to see the fruits of his labor kind of come to fruition and, see the whole thing bear fruit, I should say. And they got some good young players. They absolutely do. I was just going to say that.
Minds.
What's that?
I mean, Farhan did more to hold his players back from developing than any GM. Ramos was the guy to get 600 at-bats no matter what happens last year. You know what I mean?
He became an all-star last year by accident because they went to him because of an injury. Yeah, Ramos is 25 and he looks great. Matos is 23. He's coming off a fantastic spring. Jung Hoo's now healthy. Casey Schmidt's coming off a good year. Are coming off a good spring, 26 years old. He can hit. Flores hit the big bomb yesterday. Tyler Fitzgerald is maybe a 2020 short second baseman.
I think they overpaid for Adames, but you're overpaying for everyone in Major League Baseball, so no problem.
They got a pretty good staff. The bottom line is, the Giants have, obviously you've got Verlander and Webb and Robbie Ray at the top of the rotation. But then you also have Jordan Hicks, who's, could be going back to the bullpen at some point, because you also have Hayden Birdsong and you have Landon Roop and you got Harrison at AAA and you got Carson Wesenhunt and others at AAA. You got a really loaded Carson Ragsdale is a big talented righty. He's at AAA. So, and then in the bullpen, their bullpen is freaking stacked.
Yeah.
You've got Walker, you got Camilo, you've got Eric Miller, Randy Rodriguez throws 100.
If Duvall picks up
Lou Trevino, and they look good. They look good. And then Bailey's a Gold Glover. I don't love the first base platoon, but the rest of the infield's pretty good. And then in the outfield, I don't understand platooning Yaz and Matos. I would play Ramos, Matos, and Jung Hoo every day.
Yeah.
And play Yaz off the bench. But I think they eventually will. And I you know what? It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Giants farm system. Was great in the late 60s. It was great in the early 70s. Since the early 70s, it has been a wasteland. But they did have one little run there where they brought up Posey and Belt and Pablo and Panic.
Lincecum.
And obviously the pitching, but I'm just talking about the position players.
Okay, yeah.
Where they developed their own position players, and they won 3 World Series titles. Well, guess what? Now they're starting to develop their own position players again. They still have the good young arms. So I like the Giants this year. The vibe is totally different. I went to spring training. Buster has created a totally different vibe than Farhan. And Melvin seems very, very comfortable with this this club, with his situation, even though he's under a contract.
I think Melvin's going to get a chance to manage his club. I think Melvin got a chance to make choices off of a spreadsheet with Farhan. Now he gets to go a little bit more gut, little instinct, little riding hot hand, hopefully keeping the guy in the lineup. He had two homers yesterday, means you're playing tomorrow. That's how it should go. So
we should hit the supers here so we can get out of here. Let's okay. Edward Gabriel says beast Desmond Watson to the Niners at 11. Pig in a pickle. Desmond Watson is the Florida defensive tackle, Damon, who's 465 pounds, 465. Nose guard. He was at Florida's Pro Day this week. People are talking about Desmond Watson.
It's a little sloppy. 400 means you got a weight problem. 400 means you're going to eat yourself out of the league.
400. And then I was talking about this last night with Dieter. Dieter's like, yeah, there was a time I was 4 something. I was like, what? Really? Dieter said at one point he was 400 and something pounds.
Well, Dieter's a sneaky
huge guy.
6'6". He's a big dude. He's got, he's wide shoulders too.
But 400, I've never seen him at that weight.
I've never
Joseph
seen him.
Ernberg said, would it even be worthy? Mid-season? We saw how BA looked missing in offseason. I worry him and his contract will hold the Niners back, tank the season. Would it even be worthy? Is he going to be good in the midseason? We'll see. We don't know. We don't know what he's going to return as, which is another reason the Niners may want to get off. Connor McVicker, it's 100% in our favor to move him on, even if it's undervalued. We have half-assed receiving core. If it's a rebuild, move him on and look elsewhere. Yeah, I kind of feel the exact same way. Fuji Simeon, remember Aiyuk said that the deal he signed was presented to him by the team beginning of August, and he chose not to sign it until after the preseason was over. Yeah, so maybe they're annoyed by him. Clearly there were some weird vibes this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really speak to it other than that. But it did, for a guy who just signed a big contract, it didn't seem like he had this big kumbaya period. It seemed like he still was kind of causing them headaches, and them seemed like he seemed like, I don't know. It just seemed the whole shorts thing. It just seemed like the vibe was weird with Aiyuk all year. Silence has signed Purdy. No more quarterback hell. $50 million proportional guarantee to Allen. Trade Aiyuk for a mid-pick. Draft Jaden Higgins from Iowa State to replace, and a starting center to fix the O-line. All right, there's a lot there, Silent, but I like it. A nothing Niner, 4BA, Niners round 3, pick 75, for Browns round 3, pick 67. So he's basically saying, move the equivalent that you get for Aiyuk was we moved up what, 8 spots in the draft. That would be hilarious. Isaiah Hodgins is better than Demarcus Robinson. That's an insider take, but that could be true. I like Isaiah Hodgins quite a bit. Ernberg, yes, Brock Purdy at $55 million will win with Ricky and Jennings. Okay. That sounds like sarcasm. Wyatt Oftenberg says, don't you think we can trade back and still get a bona fide D lineman and wide receiver with the picks we'll get in return if Aiyuk gets dealt? Yeah, I do.
By the way, can I just give you a wide receiver name out of Miami that I like?
Who's your day 3 wide receiver?
A day 3 wide receiver. Again, you ain't finding perfect on day 3. There is no such thing as great physical body, great speed, great hands, all wrapped up into great catch radius. All those guys got drafted before Sam Brown Jr., 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver out of Miami, who is fast. I think can stretch the field, might have a little trouble holding on to the ball sometimes, but that's why he's a day 3 guy. That is I think, draftable replacement for Brandon Aiyuk. I also wouldn't be trusting any day 3 rookies around Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't even like his day 1 rookies. So you know what I would do if I were the 49ers? I would call Tyler Lockett. I'd call Keenan Allen. I'd call Amari Cooper and be like, I need a 1-year deal with one of you fucking guys. First one to say yes to it gets it. Are any of you perfect? Are any of you field stretchers? Are any of you 4-4 flat guys anymore at this point in your career? No, but you know what you are? You produce.
Sam Brown, by the way, played wide receiver and free safety at New Hampstead in Miami. He was the 5A Region 2 Player of the Year. Really good player, basketball player too. Competed in basketball and track. He won the state championship runner-up in the long jump. He's obviously a pretty great athlete. This year, he was one of the best Hurricanes. He was 4th on the team in receptions with 36, 5th in receiving yards on the nation's top-ranked offense. Had some big moments though for sure. I like him. He started at Houston in West Virginia. He's a Savannah, Georgia kid. Who transferred to Miami, 6'2", 5th-year redshirt junior. I do like him. That's a good name. I will say this. To me, I think it's a great day 3 of the draft wide receiver group. I'll give you a couple names that I really love. Keandre Lambert-Smith, who started at Penn State and finished at Auburn. He runs in the 4.3s. I like him a lot. And remember this name, Zachary Franklin. He's just
I have seen that guy.
He plays at Illinois. He played at University of Texas, San Antonio. But Zachary Franklin, medium size, right? 6'1", 190. But, man, when you watch this guy, Damon, he reminds me of Juwan Jennings.
Dude, he's one of the reasons why Illinois had a really good year.
Is he? Yeah, what he is just he doesn't have great 40 time. I mean, as I said, he's like Juwan Jennings. I think he's like a 4.5, 4.40 or something like that. And, decent height, but nothing crazy. But the ball skills, the hands, and the route running are off the charts. And they list him here as the 31st best wide receiver. They list him here at 308th prospect-wise, which means he's an undrafted free agent. Because that's obviously the draft is only 250 picks, or 260. So Zachary Franklin is likely going to be an undrafted free agent, but that is a good receiver. I'll tell you that right now. If I could get Zachary Franklin as an undrafted receiver, I would do it. This guy right here, Lisette Ruiz. Just a quick trade suggestion: Bosa, Purdy, Aiyuk to the Titans for pick 1, 2, and 3 in this year's draft for this year.
Unfortunately, Titans don't have all 3 picks, so that cannot go through. Thank you, Lisette.
Even if it was their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick, I don't see it happening. A nothing Niner says 1st round with a trade down into the teens or later, say 17 to 27. Name some players you like with our 1st pick in that range. Love the show, gents. 1st round with a trade down into the teens. I would say, okay, so just spent 3-4 hours yesterday going through all of searching for Greg Cosell's breakdown because I really think Greg is really sharp.
He's great.
And I did watch a number of his breakdowns, and the two guys that he really loves that I would absolutely target in a trade back in round one. One is Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle. He says Greg thinks that Walter Nolan is the best tackle in the draft, defensive tackle. And that's good enough for me. And I like Walter Nolan anyway, but the fact that Greg thinks he's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he is falling that far beyond 12, 13, 14. So, I mean, if he's there in the 20s, there's going to be teams trading up for him.
Matt Miller in his 7-round mock draft yesterday had Walter Nolan to the Niners in the second round at 43. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So I agree with you. I think that's probably too low. But if you are trading back like this guy's saying, 17 in that range, 17 to 27, I think he might be there. So that would be a name. And the other name that I'll mention that Greg also loves, he did a whole breakdown on the wide receivers, and he loves Luther Burden from Missouri. And he basically said, he's like, he's sudden, he's explosive, he's dynamic, he's a 3-level receiver. They use him in motion a lot. He can run by people. This guy can take the top off the defense. This is the guy that can run the deep routes. He really likes Luther Burden, and I do too, the Missouri wide receiver. So,
Larry,
I would say that those two guys.
If you're not picking at 11, and you don't get the remainder of the Membu Campbell combo that I would want, I'm still looking offensive line around, if you traded back 16, 17, 18, I would hope that either Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State, or Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama, is still sitting there late in the teens. And I think that would really help address offensive line concerns. So as long as they come out of that first round, I think with an offensive lineman who can play week one, they will have done a good job.
Let's hit a couple more of these. We got Joseph Verdenberg defending Brock equals defensive Jimmy.
By the way,
what's that?
I just got a second text, so we can do it.
We'll roll through these. Fuji Simeon Grizzlies just fired Taylor Jenkins. That's right, he's out after 6 seasons.
And they're playing the Grizzlies Sunday in Memphis. The Warriors are in New Orleans tonight, and then they're at the Grizzlies. They're 2 games behind the Grizzlies. Wow, that's
interesting.
That's a weird time to fire your coach. What the fuck just happened in Memphis?
I think he's a pretty good coach, too. Fuji Simeon says, looking forward to future Friday Giants game live streams. Great day until the Dodgers played. What are your feelings about Snell leaving San Francisco for the Dodgers? I was saying to John Lund yesterday, I hope Snell gets hit in the face. But you know what? There was already yesterday, it looked like Will Smith of the Dodgers and Snell arguing in the dugout, like in the first inning. They were arguing. They definitely were having a very pointed conversation. If you don't believe me, type in Will Smith and Snell and Twitter and see the video for yourself and tell me what you think. Those guys were yelling at each other in the dugout. I mean, it looked uncomfortable. So I don't know. As far as Friday, John Lund and I are doing a Friday night. Yesterday was our debut because it was opening day, but we're going to do a Friday night in game. You started doing in game, and I, with the Niners, and I couldn't really get to the Niner in game thing, but I am intrigued by the in game streams, and so I decided to do a Friday night in game Giants stream with Lund, and we did our first one yesterday. We'll do our next one on opening day for the home opener next Friday, but it's normally going to be Friday nights.
Nice. And, I'll have to join you some week.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're doing is we're calling it pints, bottom of the pint. And what we're doing is for home runs, 7th inning stretch, and for super chat goals. Like if we like yesterday, Kev put a thing in there. If we get 30 super chats, we will slam a beer.
Right. So by the way, this is why you just asked me. I got a text from Larry out of nowhere the other day. He's like, has YouTube ever dinged you for drinking in the live stream? I'm like, no. So that's where this question came from.
Yeah, because I've had people suggest to me that the channel could get labeled as like a 21 plus channel, and then that would eliminate some people, and I don't want to do that. So I wanted to check into it, but supposedly everything's gonna be fine. Fuji Simeon says, I can't imagine the number of sunburn and heat stroke cases at Levi's sun exposed section on hot sunny day games. Yeah, I mean they absolutely it's a problem in September. Fuji Simeon, Larry, you and Bonds could bond over how you both tussled with Kent. Yeah, exactly. I've told Damon that story before as well. Fuji Simeon, Dieter at 400 plus pounds could be a sumo Yokozuna.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's before hunch is
that's big.
It's moving weight.
That's big. Harold McAllister, last one here, says is a great right tackle a bad pick at 11?
No. Great pick.
I would say if you're gonna go, and this is just me saying this, I think if you're going to go offensive line at tackle in the first round, you probably should get a left tackle in the first half of the first round because you're, like McGlinchey. The Niners took McGlinchey 9th. And then when it was time to pay him, it was like, well, we don't want to pay this guy because he's a right tackle and they're kind of more dime a dozen. So I would say you're looking for somebody who has the potential to play left tackle if you're going to draft them in the top half.
Well, that's the thing.
First round.
The tackle that you draft in this round, whether he plays left tackle or not this year, is your heir apparent to Trent Williams. So just know that.
And by the way, there's a phenomenal article out that you guys should all read. It's by Bob McGinn, who writes out of Milwaukee, and he did an anonymous scouts article about the top offensive linemen, and he went into Campbell and Membu and Banks and Connerly, and basically he's got quotes from scouts who just not huge fans of those guys. And I kind of personally believe, I like Membu, but I kind of personally believe that the next tier of offensive linemen is the route I would go if I were the Niners. Ariante Ursi, Anthony Belton, Emory Jones, that whole group. I kind of like the secondary tackles more than the primary ones. I kind of agree with Bob McGinn. I see kind of some flaws on the top offensive tackles in this draft. All right, that is going to do it for us. What do you got cooking at 11?
So, again, I'm on dad duty for the rest of the day.
So
Spring break for both boys is next week, but it actually began today. This Friday, they shut down San Francisco School District. So Ozzy's home today. So I am, while Jillian is on she's got some meeting that she's got to be in here around noon. I am going to take the boys to a playground somewhere. I don't know. We're going to go to a playground. We're going to do something. Seems like it's a nice day out there. I was supposed to do an 11 o'clock with John Lund. And I texted Lund this morning and I said, oh man, I totally forgot. My boys are home. My bad. Can we do something next week? So I'll be doing something with Lund next week instead of right at 11. But yeah, I'm going to go be a dad for the rest of the day. I do have to victory lap something though, Larry, because the first time ever, you know how you get your views? You can either see how many views you've had in 60 minutes or 48 hours. For the first time ever.
4 weeks, you mean? Are you talking about on the the YouTube studio?
Yeah, where you go back, right here, and you go, 60 minutes or 48 hours, and you can view how many views for the first time ever. I'm over 1 million views in 48 hours. I have the first official viral video of my life. I'm at 2.4 million views.
What was the video topic?
How Steph Curry cooks defenses. It's a short. It's a short. So it's, I got 2.4 million views. I haven't even made $300 on it. It's like I can pay for a nice bar tab with it, but it's added over 3,000 subscribers. I'm having a really good week on YouTube, my good friends. I just passed 30,000 subscribers on Monday. I think we were talking about, Larry. Right now I'm sitting at 32,000 plus. So
congratulations on the 30,000 subs. I know you've been grinding it. I know, everybody who runs these channels knows that they don't build themselves and it's a ton of work, and it's just, it just takes a lot. It takes a lot, dude. So you're grinding, you've embraced the grind, and you're well down the road. I think I read a stat. I think I shared it with you years ago that I think like some ridiculous small percentage, 2%, 3% of all YouTube channels make it past 10,000 subs, something like that. It's like it's some ridiculously low, almost hard to believe percentage of YouTube channels make it over 10,000 subs. So anybody who can embrace the grind, and you and I have lots of radio compadres and friends, people that we've known for a long time that have followed us into this space and are in the infancy with their channels. And all I would say to every one of them is, way to go. Go. I root you on. I celebrate you all. I'm happy that you guys are here, and and if there's anything I can do to help you grow, and that's for Tolbert, Johnny Lund, Paulie, you, Damon, and I'm sure there will be we got other friends, guys who have smaller channels, Dieter, Sterling Bennett from 95.7. There are people out there, right, that we know.
Well, let me just say,
I just want to say I tip my hat to all of them, and I will gladly go on any of their shows to help them build, because people helped me, and I think that you pay it back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tip my cap to Dieter. I made it out of the first round, but was beaten to the Sweet 16 by Dieter in the Rob Stats Guerrera 49er content.
I never even saw that. I never even saw it. Am I out?
No, you're through to the Sweet 16, Larry. You're through to the Sweet 16.
I beat Lund. I had Lund, I think.
Was that your first round matchup?
I was facing Lund in the first round, but I never could find where the results are. So you beat Dieter, or Dieter beat you?
No, I beat Willard in the opening round.
You took Willard down. Wow.
Yeah, well, of course.
95-7 the game, retro battle there.
Sure. I mean, look, I want to be polite, but he never stood a chance.
Was it close? No, we don't know.
I have no idea what the results were, where the measurement came in. But
so who did you get? You got Dieter in round 2.
Dieter, it was me and Dieter in round 2, and Dieter took me out. I tipped my cap to Dieter. I got taken out by Kyle Posey last year. Kyle Posey does a great job. He does works for Niners Nation, and it's great. It's all great fun. And I agree with you, man. Watching this whole thing come together, you want to help people. You want to be transparent. You want to give them information. I don't know if anyone knows how to make a lot of people watch anything. Again, if you had given me all my videos to pick from, which one do you think would go viral? I would have never picked the one that did.
Of course. Yeah.
I would have never said that that's going to be the hit, but sure enough, it has been. So just transparency and any help. And I agree with you. It's kind of cool that we're doing this thing over here, man. Thank God they invented YouTube, or we'd have had nowhere to go. So it's really good that they did. Larry, thank you. I got to get running. I got to get upstairs. Thanks to everybody for watching. Like, subscribe to both channels if you would, please. And we'll be doing it again on Monday, 9 a.m. with another wake up.
6-7 minutes from now, I'll be going live with Chase Sr. We'll continue the Niner dialogue with our regular Friday 10:45 hit. And then later today, check me out tonight at 6 o'clock if you could on Niners Nightly on KMBR. Tonight, Kev hooked me up with a guest that is a really good guest. I'm gonna see if I have his name. Here it is. And he works for the 33rd Team. Have you heard of the 33rd Team?
I have. That's a really good website that was started by a bunch of former NFL guys, all investing in a channel.
Yeah, so the 33rd Team's NFL draft analyst, a guy named James Foster.
Oh, I know him. He's really good.
James? Yeah, so James Foster's going to be on tonight. I'll be on it from 6 to 7:30 tonight. They gave me an extra half hour because baseball season's starting, and I won't be on as much during baseball season. But James Foster's going to stop by tonight. Join me at 6 o'clock. He'll be on at 6:30. And I'll throw a bunch of Niner draft questions to him. And from what I hear, Kev says he's outstanding. I'm looking forward to it. So check that out tonight. And that does it. Watch some college hoop tonight. Everybody has a great weekend. I got a doubleheader tomorrow for my freshmen in high school.
Nice.
In baseball. So hopefully the weather is good this weekend. So it's that time of the year.
Come on in. This is here's what we got to go here, Larry. Come on in, buddy.
Is this the flag football player?
Come on in. This is a champion. You want to see
Flag
what
football.
a champion looks like? A flag football champion, Larry? First of all,
Yes.
he's coming in with his reptiles and amphibians sticker book, which he's very excited about.
Look at that. I think I have that exact same book.
He's still in his pajamas.
Look at that red hair.
Still in his pajamas. It's not red. It's not. It's really not red. It just looks
Not?
little. No, it's a poorly lit
It's
room.
brown. It's light brown.
much more brown. But anyway, you
All
gonna say
Hi.
How you doing, bud?
Larry.
How you doing? You're waiting for Daddy, huh? We're gonna let Daddy get back to you.
I gotta go through a reptiles and amphibians sticker book, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited.
There you go. There you go.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, that's gonna do it for us. Enough of there was no reptiles, no amphibians here, but join me in 4 minutes over on the Krug Show. We may talk reptiles.